Hello, good morning viewers. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to subtract mixed numbers together. And the purpose of the tutorial is to show you that we can subtract them without transforming them into improper fractions. But before we start, I want you to know that addition is commutative while subtraction is not. What I mean by commutative, remember if we say 3 minus 1, we're going to obtain 2. But 1 minus 3 will give us a negative result. Unlike addition, that if you say 3 plus 1, you will obtain 4. Likewise, 1 plus 3 will give us 4. You can see we have the same result here, and hence we say addition is commutative because if you interchange the values, you still obtain the same result, unlike subtraction. The same thing in mixed numbers. If you subtract a larger mixed number from a smaller mixed number, you're going to obtain a negative result. So now let us subtract some mixed numbers together. So first we want to subtract 2 whole number 1/3 from a whole number 7. Remember in our previous lesson I told you a mixed number can also be expressed as a sum of its whole number and its fraction. So 2 whole number 1/3 can be written as 2 plus 1/3. So we want to subtract the whole of this bundle from 7. So writing 7 minus this is very wrong because this negative sign is now only affecting whole number 2. But we have to add parentheses to show that we are subtracting the whole of this bundle. So if you expand this parenthesis, you're going to obtain minus 2 minus 1/3. This is to show you that we are subtracting the whole of the bundle from 7. We are going to subtract whole number from a whole number. 7 minus 2 is 5, but we still have minus 1/3. Remember, the topic of discussion is mixed numbers, so we don't want to transform this into any improper fraction. We know that 5 can also be written as 4 plus 1. Yes, 4 plus 1 is the same thing as 5, and still we have minus 1/3. So now we can use this 1 because it is larger than 1/3 to subtract 1/3. But we can rationalize it as 1/1 because 1/1 is the same thing as 1. But for convenience, since we have a denominator of 3, we can write it as 3/3. 3/3 is the same thing as 1. So instead of writing 1 here, we can write 3/3. So that we use this 3/3 to subtract 1/3. This is equal to 4 plus. Since they have the same denominator, we can just say 3 minus 1, which is 2, out of the common denominator, which is 3. And lastly, remember I told you a mixed number can be expressed as a sum of its whole number and its fraction. So if this is equal to this, we can write this one as 4 whole number 2/3 as our final answer. Therefore, if you subtract this from this, you're going to obtain 4 whole number 2/3. Let us take another one. Here is another one. We want to subtract this from this. Let us rewrite each mixed number into sum of its whole number and fraction. This is 5 plus 3/4. We have minus. Remember, this is a bundle, therefore we have to use parentheses. 2 plus 3/16. Let us we can expand it from here. If you remove this parenthesis, definitely this becomes negative. So let us subtract whole numbers together and fractions together. We can do it directly because 5 minus 2 is 3. Plus, let us bring these ones together and subtract them. But these two fractions have different denominator. To make them the same, we have to transform them into their LCM, and the LCM is 16 because 16 is the smallest number in which 4 and 16 can go into without remainder. So we can just change this 4 to 16 by multiplying it by 4. But we have to multiply the top number by the same value for equivalency. So this is 3 plus 4 times 3 is 12 over 16, because 4 times 4 is 16, minus 3 over 16. Now that they have the same denominator, we can say 12 minus 3, which is the same thing as 9. So we have 3 plus 9 over 16. 9 over 16 do not have any common factor, and hence we cannot reduce it to any lower term. Lastly, we have 3 whole number 9 over 16 as our solution. If you subtract this from this, you shall obtain this without necessarily have to transform them into improper fraction. Let us take another one. All right, here is another one. We want to subtract this from this. As usual, this is 3 plus 3 over 4 minus 1 minus 7 over 8. I've already told you why we have this, because this is a bundle. We are subtracting everything from the right hand side, 1 and 7 over 8. All right, we have 3 minus 1, which will give us 2. Then we have our plus 3 over 4, then minus 7 over 8. Let us transform them in such a way they will have common denominator. We have 2 plus. If you times 4 by 2, you will obtain 8. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Over 2 times 4 is 8. Minus 7 over 8. You can see that this fraction is less than this fraction. Therefore, if you subtract them, you're going to get a negative result. But since we have a whole number part, we don't want a negative result. And hence, we can borrow 1 here, because this can be written as 1 plus 1. Remember, 1 plus 1 is 2. Still, we have 6 over 8 minus 7 over 8. This 1 can also be rationalized as 1 over 1. Remember, 1 over 1 is the same thing as 1. But because of this denominator of 8, we can transform this to 8 by multiplying it by 8. And we have to multiply the top by 8. And 8 over 8 is the same thing as 1. So we can write this one as 8 over 8. Now we are free to add numerators together because all of them have the same denominator. 8 plus 6 is 14. Then 14 minus 7 is 7. So we have 1 plus 7 over 8. Now we have whole number and a fraction added up together to give us 1 whole number 7 over 8 as our final answer. 1 whole number 7 over 8 is equal to this if you subtract this from this. Let us take another one. Here is our last question. We want to subtract 2 whole number 1 over 4 out of 5 whole number 3 over 4. All right. We know we can split this as 5 plus 3 over 4 minus the whole of this bundle. If you add parentheses like this, you say 2 plus 1 over 4. But once you remove this parenthesis, this negative sign will affect each term inside, thereby changing this positive sign to negative sign. This minus this, 5 minus 2 is 3, plus we have 3 over 4 here, and we have minus 1 over 4 the other side. This time around, our denominators are the same, therefore we don't have to change them to any form. All we have to do is to subtract the numerators. 3 minus 1 is 2, so we have 3 plus 2 over 4. But 2 over 4 have a common factor, which is 2. Because 2 can go into 2 one time, and 2 can go into 4 2 times. So we can reduce it to the lowest term, 3 plus 1 over 2. And lastly, our answer is 3 whole number 1 over 2. Now you have seen that throughout all these exercises, we have not converted our mixed numbers into improper fractions. because in our previous lessons we have seen how to subtract fractions, and therefore we don't have to change them into fractions. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, share to your learning colleagues. Thank you for watching. Do have a nice day.